The canyon was too quiet. Dust hung in the still air like ash after a fire, drifting down in lazy spirals. The sky above bled crimson beneath twin suns, their warped light crawling across jagged rock formations that looked more like the bones of ancient beasts than natural structures. Reaper crouched low against the canyon wall, breath shallow. His visor flickered. HUD cracked. The last thing it registered before dying was a single red dot, behind him. The shot came fast. Plasma bolt, chest level. Not enough to kill. Just enough to drop him. He hit the dirt hard, exosuit groaning under the impact. Blood soaked into the pale, gritty soil beneath him. The air tasted like metal. Heavy footsteps followed. Not in a rush. They thought they had time. Well, a voice rasped and accented trade common. The mighty humans send ghosts to haunt us, and they bleed just like everyone else. Commander Clorax emerged from behind a jutting rock, flanked by 3 armored brutes, Lord Hack enforcers. Each carried some mix of plasma weaponry and melee tech. Trophy hunters in all but name. One bent low, knife in hand, and began scraping at Reaper's shoulder plate. Sparks flew. The Reaper insignia, a stylized skull over wings, peeled off like dried skin. "Take the shot," Clorax ordered. "We need the footage sharp. Blood on the lens sells well." Reaper's eyes fluttered. Vision blurred. He could smell his own armor burning. Another alien leaned in, holding a compact holocam. "Smile for the bounty board's meat." The blade was pressed to Reaper's chest plate, right above his heart. "Ever seen a broadcast from your own funeral?" The cameraman chuckled. Then something beeped. They didn't hear it, too busy grinning. Too arrogant to check vitals. But 8.2 kilometers away, the signal tore through encrypted bandwidth like a shriek in silence. Naira's boots hit stone before the beacon finished pulsing. Her expression was unreadable, just the sharp set of her jaw beneath a matte black helmet. She knelt by the ridge, rifle already up. "Got it," Roach said beside her, visor pulsing faint blue. "Reaper's alive." "Barely. He shouldn't be," she muttered. No one asked if they were going. The question insulted the bond. Mackie didn't speak. He never did. Just flicked a pair of throwing spikes into his left gauntlet and vanished into the rock maze below like smoke and wind. Roach double-checked his gear. Thermite charges, distortion grenades, audio scramblers. "We're not extracting," he said. "No," Naira agreed. "We're answering." Back at the canyon, Clorax crouched beside Reaper's limp form. The commander's armor gleamed obsidian, inset with bone charms, trophies from other species who bled too slow. "You humans," he mused, "always send ghosts into our backyard, but never your best. That's the mistake. You should have sent someone you'd miss." He stood, adjusting his gauntlet. "Still, let's not waste the scene. Set up the flare. Let everyone know we bagged a Reaper." A red flare burst skyward. A signal of dominance. A beacon of arrogance. It lit the sky like a funeral torch. "Visual on flare," Roach said, setting up a scanner. "Lord Hack's feeling proud." "Not for long," Naira replied. They moved with purpose, not haste. Every step calculated. Every move silent. There was no need for shouting or orders. They trained for years for this moment. The 3 of them, operating like a single weapon with different edges. Mackie reappeared by a ravine, one hand covered in drying alien blood. No expression. No need for confirmation. Scout neutralized. He pointed. 2 fingers up. Then across. 2 more patrols. Probably armed. Probably bored. Probably dead soon. Reaper stirred. Pain lanced through his chest like hot wire. The world tilted, his vision swam, and somewhere, just beneath the ringing in his ears, he heard movement. Sharp, clean movement. Not the heavy stomps of Lord Hackmerk's. Whispers of cloth brushing against rock. Air slicing around small blades. Tactical breathing. He smiled, barely. They came. He didn't need to see them. He knew. Mackie was the ghost. Roach was the teeth. Naira was the blade. And he was still breathing. Which meant the fight wasn't over. Clorax paced near the ridge, reviewing the footage. Could go viral. The angle's good. Then something hissed. Just a breath of sound, like wind slipping between stone. A merc dropped behind him, gurgling. Blood sprayed across Clorax's chest. What? He spun. Too late. Another merc's helmet cracked inward, caved by a silent strike to the jaw. Chaos bloomed. Contact! A guard screamed, only to crumple under Roach's detonator, an implosive charge that left no noise, just sudden absence. Clorax fired blindly into the dark, barking orders, HUD glitching as Roach's distortion minds began screwing with target locks and friendly tags. Where are they? Where? But there were no voices in reply. Only shadows. Only steel. Only death. Reaper shifted, biting down pain. He reached up, slowly, like lifting mountains, and pulled a small blade from the side of his belt. The hilt buzzed faintly with recognition. Not a weapon meant for throwing. Not for show. Just for finishing. He watched the figures move above him, flashes of combat in the haze. Roach diving between shadows. Naira slashing like a thunderclap. Mackie moving like a myth, silent, precise, vanishing between kills. Clorax turned, and locked eyes with him. You! The alien hissed. Reaper smiled. It split his lip. You should have finished the job. The blade left his hand. The last thing Clorax saw was a streak of silver, and then darkness. The air reeked of scorched ozone and fear. Lord Hack patrols were scrambling now, no more posing for the cam feeds. No more staged kills or taunts. The flare that had gone up moments ago was now a curse hanging overhead, an open invitation for death to walk in. And death didn't knock. It slit your throat while you blinked. Naira moved like a storm held in restraint. Every turn of her body had purpose, no flourish, no waste. Her rifle snapped up, dropped a target, then vanished back behind cover. She wasn't charging. She was weaving. Unseen. Untouchable. Roach ghosted just behind her, arms low, scanning constantly. His mind ran faster than his rifle. They weren't here to clear, they were here to cripple. Jammers up, he said under his breath. External comms gone. They're sealed. Good, Naira replied. Keep the pressure. Behind them, Mackie didn't respond, as always. He didn't need to. He was already ahead, slipping through cracks in the canyon like watered-down broken stone. In a tent 2 levels up, Lieutenant Brack of the Lord Hack Collective was mid-snarl, pulling on his torso armor when the blackout hit. Systems dead. I've got no HUD! One grunt shouted, panicked. Switch to manual! Brack snapped, slamming a charged cell into his carbine. We're under attack. Cloak squad, human! Someone nearby cursed. Another vomited. Human Black Ops weren't soldiers. They were stories. Shadows that bled you before you blinked. Killers who didn't sleep. Who didn't speak. Brack had dismissed the rumors, until now. Roach counted out traps like a ritual. 1 on the path. 2 by the perimeter gate. A triple ping mine beneath the comm array. He whispered over the link. Guide them to the west funnel. I'll herd them. Naira tapped twice on her forearm, confirmed. A Lord Hack sniper took position above the ridge, leveling his pulse rifle toward the noise. He saw nothing. Then something. Movement? No, just a shimmer. A pulse in the heat. He leaned forward. And Mackie's blade slid into his throat, just below the chin plate, clean and deep. No sound. Just silence reasserting itself. Down below, Reaper stirred. Pain curled through him like old wire heated to a boil, but his eyes were clear now. Vision sharpened with every pulse of adrenaline. He tried to sit, his body said no. Didn't matter. The fight had returned. He could feel it in the ground. The soft crunch of boots not meant to be heard. The sudden cracks of alien voices cut short. The air was shifting, carrying death like a rumor. He smiled. Then winced. Then forced himself upright, propped against a stone. Blood still leaked from under his armor, but not fast enough to kill him yet. Inside the camp, panic fractured any sense of order. Brack shoved 2 soldiers toward the corridor. Push the north ridge. Smoke them out. It's 3 of them max. One soldier froze. Max? Brack's fist knocked the hesitation out of his mouth. Do it! But he was wrong. It wasn't 3 against many. It was 3 against themselves. 3 humans who didn't need to speak. 3 weapons sharpened by loyalty and loss. They're grouping, Roach whispered, eyes locked on a portable sensor grid. North funnel engaged. Movement spiking. Positions? Naira asked. 5 there. 2 flanking. 1 in Overwatch. Not anymore. Mackey's icon blinked into view. Roach smiled without humor. Overwatch down. Mackey moved without sound or hesitation. Where others crept, he flowed. His eyes didn't scan, they locked. Calculations came fast, brutal, final. He slid a nanoblade from his forearm, crept beneath a generator hum, and emerged behind a merc clutching a scatter rifle. The alien turned, too slow. 1 strike severed the spinal relay at the neck. Mackey caught the body before it hit the ground. Lowered it gently. Then moved on. He didn't look back. He never did. Brack saw movement on his cracked screen. His men were dropping. 1 by 1. No firefight. No screams. Just lights blinking off his tactical map. This isn't a battle, he whispered. It's a harvest. He turned toward the evac beacon. Hit the call. Nothing. Signal jammed. His own voice now sounded like a whisper in a storm he couldn't stop. Naira ducked into the lower trench, rifle at the ready. She sighted 2 mercs clustered near a storage crate, weapons pointed into the shadows, too tense to breathe. She waited. Let their nerves stretch like wire. Then she tossed a distortion charge into the dust. It pulsed once, twice, then their visors screamed in alarm. She stepped forward. 3 rounds. 3 shots. All clean. The mercs never fired. Back at the ridge, Reaper heard the echoes. Sharp. Methodical. No chaos. Just precision. He knew who each shot belonged to. Naira, always 3. Roach, always the hiss before the bang. Mackey, no sound at all. He groaned, checked his pulse. Weak. But steady. You're late, he muttered to no one. A shadow passed nearby. A hand dropped a canteen. Then vanished. Mackey. Of course. Roach breached the main tower silently. Inside, terminals sparked and buzzed under fried circuits. He placed 3 dead caps near the data core. 1 for intel denial. 1 for message delivery. 1 for punctuation. Then he stopped. Across the room, something moved, a terrified technician clutching a shock baton. Roach raised a finger to his lips. The tech froze. Roach walked past. This wasn't about terror. It was about clarity. Outside, Brack made a break for it. Heavy boots pounding across rock, pulse gun in shaking hands. He didn't care about orders. About pride. He just wanted distance. He ran until he hit the ridge. And saw the flare. Still burning. Still mocking. Then the ground beneath him clicked. Roach's mind bloomed upward in silent fire, swallowing Brack whole in red dust and shrapnel. No message. No speech. Just silence, reasserted again. Back in the canyon, Naira stepped beside Reaper, kneeling to check his vitals. You're not done yet, she said quietly. Reaper coughed. Didn't plan to be. She tapped twice on her comm. Extraction not required. Target is awake. Reaper smirked. You should have brought coffee. Mackey dropped a stim injector at his feet. No words. Just action. Roach appeared from the shadows, crouching by the ledge. All clear, he said. You ready? Reaper looked up. Blood on his lip. Fire in his eyes. He nodded once. The sky dimmed to bruised violet. Twin suns dipped low, dragging streaks of red across the horizon. Smoke curled from craters and shattered hulls, blotting out what little light remained. The once boasting flare now sputtered in the dirt, dim, forgotten, meaningless. Reaper stood on his own. Stiff, limping, bleeding, but upright. A medic would have called him compromised. He called it ready enough. Naira crouched at the edge of the kill zone, glassing the clearing below through a cracked scope. The last cluster of Lord Hack mercs had dug in behind the supply crates and vehicle wrecks. They'd stopped barking orders. Stopped moving. Waiting now. Nervous. Shaking. "They're boxed," she whispered. 10 targets. Holding position. Roach adjusted his drone uplink. "No escape routes left. They're trying to look organized." "They're not," Reaper muttered. He leaned against a rock, tightening the tourniquet above his thigh. Each motion hurt, but the pain was grounding. It told him he still had time to settle this himself. Naira turned toward him. "You don't have to go in." Reaper's eyes flicked to her, then past her. Toward the smoke. The dead. The flare. He said nothing. She didn't press. Mackie was already moving. Inside the camp, the last squad circled up. Rifles out. Eyes wide. None of them spoke. Speaking felt useless now. Jenks, the junior commander, gripped his carbine tighter. His gloves were soaked through with sweat. His HUD flickered. Motion sensors screamed with false positives. The jammer had fried their optics, their comms, their certainty. They weren't soldiers anymore. They were prey trying to hold still. "Hold tight," Jenks whispered. "Reinforcements will." Thud. Something landed behind a crate. They froze. A heartbeat passed. Then another. Thud. This time closer. Jenks peeked over the crate. And caught a glimpse of Mackie. No armor lights. No voice. Just a shadow with a blade. Then Jenks' world split sideways. Roach triggered the decoy charge. Smoke flooded the perimeter. Not flashy. Not loud. Just thick enough to scatter nerves and choke vision. Naira moved in from the east, rifle up. She didn't fire yet. Not until the right angle gave her clean shots. Mackie had already cut through 2 by the time the others reacted. His movements were sharp, final, 1 breath, 1 kill. A panicked merc opened fire blindly. Plasma sprayed into the smoke. No target. Just noise. Roach's drone tagged the muzzle flash, fed it into Naira's scope. She fired once. Then again. Both clean. In the haze, Reaper walked in alone. Helmet off. Blade drawn. They saw him too late. 1 merc aimed. Reaper dodged left, planted his boot into the shooter's chest, and drove the blade up under the chin plate. He wrenched it out sideways and let the body drop. Another tried to run. Reaper grabbed the back of his collar and slammed him against a wall so hard his helmet split. 1 punch. Done. A third begged. Cried. Weapon dropped. On his knees. Reaper stood over him. The merc raised both hands. "I didn't." Reaper silenced him with a backhand. Then left him breathing, barely. "Tell your boss," he said coldly. "We came alone. We left together." Roach marked the perimeter clear. "Last one's crawling west. Won't make it 50 meters. Let him," Naira said. Reaper limped back into view, suit stained, face cut open, but breathing steady. He tossed a chip toward Roach. "Commander's cam log. Still rolling." Roach caught it, already grinning. "Perfect." Inside the rec tent, Roach plugged the chip into a cracked comm rig. He spliced in footage from the battle. The flare. The ambush. The posing. The sudden reversal. Each segment edited clean, fast, brutal. No narration. No background music. Just raw moments. At the end, he inserted the footage of Reaper finishing the last merc with that calm, ice-eyed stare. Then black screen. Words appeared. "You bled a Reaper." He didn't die alone. Neither will the next. Below that, the Hack Lord Hack crest burned out in static. Transmission sent. Straight into black market channels. Straight to bounty networks. Let the galaxies see what vengeance looked like, human style. Mackie walked over and knelt in the dust beside Reaper. He picked up a stone. Etched one word, Reaper. Then another, backup. Reaper saw it. Didn't say anything. Didn't need to. Back at the ridge, Naira sat beside the flare, now dead. Her rifle rested across her knees. Reaper approached slowly, stiff with injury. She didn't look up. You could have died back there. I didn't. Lucky. No, Reaper said. I had a team. Behind them, smoke rose into the night, carrying the scent of ion burns and blood. Alien bodies lay broken in the dirt, weapons cooling beside them. But the humans stood. Breathing. Bleeding. Whole. 3 shadows who came for one of their own. And turned an ambush into a message. The extraction ship drifted in low, silent, and unmarked. Just the way Black Ops liked it. Twin turbines stirred dust as it hovered, then settled into a crouch above the plateau's edge. No logos. No clearance beacons. Only a dull hum and the faintest flicker of heat shimmer. Inside the canyon, the bodies were already cooling. No victory music. No calm chatter. Just silence, and the aftermath. Reaper sat on a jagged boulder, armor half-scorched, blood still crusted across his jawline. He held his helmet in both hands like it was something fragile, sacred. It wasn't. But to him, it had weight. Not because of its tech, because of what it had survived. Across the ridge, Mackie crouched by the supply crate where the last of the alien squad had huddled. He was carving again. Always carving. Not out of ritual, out of memory. A tally of silence spoken through scratches. Naira stood between them, arms crossed, scanning the wreckage one final time. Her face unreadable. Her thoughts razor-sharp. "We leave anything useful?" she asked without turning. Roach, now emerging from a twisted comm relay box, shook his head. "Just junk. I wiped everything. No comm trails. No intel bleed. You send the footage?" He nodded. "Every Merc board from here to the Vex frontline has it by now. Tagged it with their own watermark too, make it feel more authentic. It'll spread." Reaper finally spoke, voice hoarse. "They'll come looking. Let 'em," Roach said with a shrug. "We'll be waiting." 10 minutes later, the 4 of them were aboard the ship. Inside, the hold was bare except for benches, rations, and one locked satchel of stims. The pilot, human, young, silent, gave them a nod and went back to pretending he didn't see anything. Reaper slumped into the seat nearest the side door. His body screamed in 10 different ways, but none of that showed in his face. "You could have stayed down," Naira said as she slid in across from him. "Didn't want the story ending there." "It wasn't your story anymore," she replied. "It became ours the moment that beacon lit." He nodded slowly. "Fair." Mackie didn't sit. He never did. He stood near the rear hatch, back turned, polishing a blade that didn't need polishing. His face unreadable under his hood. His presence more comforting than any words. Roach set his gear down and leaned back. "Chlorax is off the board. Brack too. That'll shake the collective. They'll retaliate," Naira muttered. "Of course. But not the same way." She looked over. "They'll ask questions before they fire next time," Roach explained. "They'll check for beacons. Think twice before posing with trophies." Reaper gave a dry laugh. "Maybe they'll even stop filming themselves." "Doubt it," Roach replied. "They like the show too much." Above the clouds, the ship banked north. Naira exhaled and removed her gloves, fingers stiff from the cold grip of her rifle. She looked at Reaper again, really looked this time. Not at the bruises, or the cuts, or the stiff leg. But the way he sat. Still. Not because he was resting. Because he was waiting. "Why didn't you trigger a distress?" she asked softly. He didn't answer immediately. Then, Didn't want command pulling me out. This wasn't a rescue mission. It was something else. You wanted us. Reaper met her eyes. I trusted you would come. And if we hadn't? He looked down at his helmet. Then I wouldn't be sitting here. Later, as the stars stretched out beyond the viewports, Roach tapped into the encrypted terminal built into the wall. No link to EarthNet. No back channel to command. Just a cold, hard-line upload to the places that really mattered. He loaded the final transmission again. Watched it through. Clorax taunting the camera. The moment the blade dropped. The silent footage of the takedowns. The precise angles. The tension. The reversal. Then that final frame, Reaper standing amid the ruins, visor cracked, body bloody, blade drawn. Still breathing. Still there. And the words. Reaper wasn't alone. He added a second cut. This time with an overlay of Mackey's carving, etched in dirt. Reaper. Back up. He pressed send. The file disappeared into the abyss of mercenary channels, underground info brokers, untraceable feeds. It would be seen. Not just watched, studied. Hours passed. The ship neared orbit. The world below shrank. Reaper sat alone at the rear now, leaning back against the cold steel wall, staring at nothing. Naira approached. She didn't sit. Just stood beside him, arms folded. You know what that message means, right? She asked. He didn't move. She continued. They're going to paint a target on your back. He finally looked up. Let them try. You'll be hunted harder than ever. You, us, every Reaper squad. A pause. Good, he said. They should be afraid. The pilot's voice crackled over the intercom. We'll breach comms range in 2 minutes. Stand by for reintegration. No one moved. They didn't care about debriefings. Or medals. Or any name to put on the after-action report. They came because Reaper bled. They left because none of them were willing to watch one of their own fate alone. That was the code. Not written. Lived. As the hatch began to seal for final descent, Mackey walked forward. He dropped a data chip into Reaper's palm. No words, no explanation. Reaper glanced at it. What's this? Mackey just nodded once. Reaper inserted it into his bracer. The screen flickered. Unedited feed. Helmet cam. Entire op. Every second. From beacon activation to the final shot. All angles. All kills. Mackey had recorded it without being asked. Because memory mattered. Reaper leaned back, eyes half closed. You didn't owe me this, he said into the quiet. Naira, sitting now beside him, stared ahead. No. But you'd have done it for any of us. Roach added from the side. And you'll do it again, won't you? Reaper didn't answer. But his grip tightened on the data chip. And that was answer enough. Outside the viewport, the planet disappeared behind static cloud banks and burn haze atmosphere. Below, Real 9 would bury the bodies. Wash away the ash. But the message wouldn't fade. It had already spread. Through mercenary guilds. Pirate fleets. Rogue traders. Even quiet intel officers watching behind mirrored lenses. The message was simple. Clear. Reaper wasn't alone. And neither would the next.